Mist spread from the place where the old man had collapsed, and from its writhing depths emerged the figure of Wong Lin. His complexion was rosy, yet between his brows faintly lingered a twisting black line. Without pausing after revealing himself, he flickered forward and plunged into the cultivation star. Everywhere he passed, any cultivator encountered was instantly invaded by the black mist. Their bodies withered in a shriek of agony, flesh and blood dissolving, all of it absorbed by Wong Lin as he moved onward. Moments later, nearly every Outer Realm cultivator on the entire cultivation star was wiped out. The black mist surrounding Wong Lin had grown into a towering storm, forming into a blazing demonic flame. Suspended midair, he raised his left hand and clawed viciously at the ground below. Extract the power of the star soul. With a thunderous boom, the entire cultivation star quaked violently. Waves of ancient, desolate energy surged forth, as though forcefully roused from an eternal slumber. Streams of white vapor emerged from deep within the star, surging toward Wong Lin's left hand. In his palm, they condensed into a fist-sized, wispy cluster of mist. Within it swirled the vastness of the starry sky itself. Clutching the star soul cluster, Wong Lin's body, wrapped in the churning black mist, vanished from the cultivation star with a single step. In the starry sky, Wong Lin melded into the heavens and sped forward. Whenever he encountered another cultivation star, he would dive in without hesitation, devour all life, and extract the star soul. Gradually, 7 such star soul clusters floated around him. Thunderous booms echoed behind his trail, shaking the stars as ancient power filled the void. As he traveled, Wong Lin's essence spirit injuries gradually healed. The only remaining wound was on his chest, inflicted by the heaven-cleaving giant axe, still seeping blood from time to time. Yet aside from that, he was nearly restored. Even that grievous wound was showing signs of recovery under his relentless devouring, though deep within, the aura of the heaven-cleaving axe still lingered, greatly slowing the healing process. If I don't force out this axe radiance, the wound will take an eternity to heal. A glint of frost flashed in Wong Lin's eyes as he looked toward a brilliant star domain in the distance. Absorbing the blood and flesh of ordinary Outer Realm cultivators is no longer enough. To expel the axe radiance, I need the ancient god power, and within the ancient star of antiquity, there is only one place where such power still exists. The Moon Servant Clan. Wong Lin's gaze gleamed. With a cold snort, he took a step into the void and instantly teleported, racing toward the star domain where the Moon Clan resided, drawn from memories he had consumed. The Moon Clan was a den of monsters. Countless powerful beings lived there, many having survived for countless millennia. It was truly a dragon's lair, a perilous place with danger at every turn. But Wong Lin had a plan. From his previous devouring beyond the sealed realm, he had confirmed that in the past few years, the Moon Clan still endured. It had not yet been destroyed by Tuo Sr. If Tuo Sen insists on pursuing me, I'll simply lead him straight into the Moon Clan. Then, we'll see how they resist. The chill in Wong Lin's eyes deepened. As he flew forward, he once again merged into the heavens and vanished in a few breaths. The Moon Clan was extremely far from his current location, and he had never been there. He only knew of it through the memories of certain cultivators and the Moon Clan members from the once radiant 7-colored realm. One use of the shrinking earth technique would not suffice. It would take multiple jumps to reach it. As he rushed through the void, Wong Lin had no time to admire the scenery of the ancient star of antiquity. This place was fundamentally different from the inner realm's starry sky. Even at its most radiant, the inner realm always seemed shrouded in a faint haze, as though everything was veiled by an invisible membrane, like a cage. This was something only those who had left the inner realm would notice. To those within, it simply seemed like the natural order of things. To Outer Realm cultivators, the inner realm was a prison, a tempting one they longed to exploit. Because of that prison, Outer Realm cultivators could endlessly launch schemes against the inner realm through the sealed realm grand array. Whether it was planting 7-colored Dao fruits, triggering the collapse of the immortal world, or weaving invisible threads of manipulation, all of it subtly weakened the inner realm's power on a grand scale. For those in the inner realm, leaving was nearly impossible. But for those from outside, Entering was not that difficult. Whether it was the Palm Sovereign or the ancient demons and beasts who ambushed Lin in the past, they all came from the outer realm. They faced little resistance entering through the sealed realm grand array, using special methods granted by the ancient immortal domain of the outer realm. All of this, Wong Lin had learned from the Lord of the sealed realm. He also knew that the array sealed not just the living beings of the inner realm, but even the very power of heaven and earth itself. While the inner realm's heaven and earth power might seem boundless, in truth, it had been dwindling with the passage of ages. Meanwhile, the outer realm held endless reserves. But what shocked Wong Lin most was this. Because of the sealed realm grand array, the number of third-step cultivators in the inner realm was incredibly small. Over countless years, many prodigies born with their own origins, who only needed to fully develop those origins to reach the third step, ended up perishing, their paths severed, their Tao vanishing before they ever had a chance. All of this is the power of devotional power. To become a third-step great power, devotional power is the most critical factor. Even those who have already reached the third step are forced into secluded slumber by the sealed realm grand array to prevent the dissipation of their origin. Because of the sealed realm grand array, within the inner realm, there is absolutely no trace of devotional power. Even if one tries to generate it artificially, it will be instantly absorbed by the grand array. To possess devotional power that sustains and grows one's origin without withering, one must either go beyond the outer realm or become an agent of the outer realm, like Water Path Master. Among the four third-step realms, Void Nirvana, Ethereal Realm, Profound Void, and Void Cataclysm. Void Nirvana is slightly more attainable, but reaching Ethereal Realm is extremely difficult, nearly impossible. As for Profound Void, it is utterly out of reach. When the Lord of the Sealed Realm descended back then, the first problem he addressed was the issue of devotional power. Through his divine arts, he reorganized the four great immortal domains, using them as a contract to resist the grand array's absorption of devotional power. The Lord of the Sealed Realm possessed immense power and wisdom. Under his unification, everything developed positively, and even the devotional power was forcefully prevented from being absorbed by the grand array through the four great immortal domains. But ultimately, everything was destroyed. Those from the outer realm would never allow such a change within the inner realm. Before the great catastrophe, the sovereign of the sealed realm was ambushed by Water Path Master, then gravely wounded by the combined assault of Palm Sovereign, several other powers, and traitors from the ancient immortal domain who had defected to the outer realm. He was nearly killed. Bai Fan lost his mind and screamed to the heavens. Lin's soul was torn apart by Palm Sovereign's daughter, Rune Consort, and he was then hunted by ancient demons and ancient devils. Cloud Realm and Flash Realm suffered the same fate. Everything was utterly annihilated, leaving the cultivators of the inner realm trapped forever in their cage, unable to obtain the true heavens and earth. Time and again, attempts to breach the sealed realm grand array have been made, all aiming to break open this prison. The ancient star of antiquity in the outer realm never launched a large-scale war on the inner realm. They only kept weakening its power, waiting for the inner realm's strength to dwindle to the extreme before delivering a thunderous strike, charging into the formation, destroying the inner realm, and seeking the gate of ascension to reach the ancient immortal domain within the inner realm. That day is not far away now. Very near, very near. After countless years of weakening, the inner realm has reached its weakest state. The outer realm, having waited so very long, now sees that day approaching swiftly. Sensing all this, the Lord of the Sealed Realm sent Wong Lin into the Tao domain and even helped him leave the inner realm. His goal was for Wong Lin to gain enough devotional power in the outer realm to advance his cultivation to the third step. The Lord of the Sealed Realm could naturally see the 5 fundamental origins within Wong Lin. Though his expression was calm at the time, his mind was shaken beyond measure. He said nothing, but it was precisely because of these 5 fundamental origins that he decided to make Wong Lin his successor, to lead the inner realm in resisting the outer realm's assault, or even to break out into the outer realm. He even chose to merge himself into the sealed realm grand array, so that with his final power, The Grand Array could belong to the inner realm, blocking outer realm invasions when rest was needed, and opening when the inner realm's cultivators wanted to counterattack. Whether he could ultimately achieve this or not, his life earned Wong Lin's deepest respect. This place doesn't belong to me. I come from the inner realm. Retracting his gaze from the distant starry sky of the ancient star of antiquity, Wong Lin's eyes grew even more resolute. He was about to step forward to merge with heaven and earth again, when his expression suddenly shifted. He snapped his head around, eyes flashing, and instantly vanished into the starry sky. The moment his figure disappeared, a thunderous roar echoed across the stars. A massive crack ripped open from nothing, and Tuo Sen, eyes bloodshot, burst out at full speed. Behind him, 3 long rainbows streaked through the sky. 3 third-step great powers from the ancient star of antiquity, chasing Tuo Sen relentlessly. Tuo Sen's roar reverberated through the stars. Over the past 10 years, the pursuit by these 3 third-step great powers had filled him with furious rage. Had it not been for the third person who had reached the ethereal realm, he would never have chosen to flee. Just thinking of that ethereal realm powerhouse made Tuo Sen seethe with wrath. Though reckless in his ways, Tuo Sen was far from witless. He could clearly see that these 3 were pursuing him with a purpose. But just as he was about to track Wong Lin and devour him, the entanglement from these 3 grew even fiercer, driving Tuo Sen's rage to its peak. If I don't kill or repel these 3, even if I catch Wong Lin, I won't have a chance to devour him. Tuo Sen shot out of the rift, eyes glinting with boundless cold light. Glancing once in the direction Wong Lin had vanished, he suddenly turned around, and his body swelled countless times over, transforming into a towering ancient god. You 3 have hounded this god for 10 years, all waiting for me to tire. Now, this god gives you your chance. Tuo Sen's voice boomed like a heavenly drum, making the stars themselves tremble. With one stride, he charged straight at the 3 figures who had burst from the rift in pursuit. In an instant, a tremendous force erupted from the bodies of the 3 cultivators, transforming into 3 bizarre streams of light that shot toward Tuo Sen's fist. The earth-shattering explosions echoed through the heavens, and with the crackling sounds, the starry sky was torn apart, creating massive rifts. As the attack swept through, it seemed as though the entire sky might be split in 2. A battle between third-step great powers could collapse a star river. Tuo Sen let out a muffled grunt, his eyes flashing with a trace of madness. The 3 cultivators who had been hunting him down had never separated, always sticking together for the past 10 years. No matter how many times he attacked, they never gave him the chance to kill them one by one. But now, in order to catch up with Wong Lin and break free from their pursuit, Tuo Sen was filled with madness. I have killed several third-step great powers in my life. You 3 have chased me for 10 years, thinking you can defeat me? I will show you how powerless you are. Star shatter. A star mark on Tuo Sen's forehead flickered urgently, and one of them shot out with a deafening boom. It emitted a dazzling radiance, a light of such piercing power that even Wong Lin, who was far away, felt the ancient godly strength at the very moment he appeared. The ancient god star glowed with boundless brilliance, and as it flashed, Tuo Sen's furious roar spread across the sky. Explode. He didn't hesitate to destroy a star to break free from the pursuit of the 3 third-step great powers, showing just how determined he was to devour Wong Lin. The ancient god star point exuded endless desolation, releasing a power strong enough to annihilate the heavens and the earth. It exploded with a loud boom, rapidly expanding, creating a vortex storm that swept outwards from its center. Boom, boom, boom. The violent sounds were like the collapse of the world itself. The starry sky was ripped apart with enormous gaps, sweeping through 1,000, 10,000, millions, and tens of millions of miles, engulfing everything in its wake. Countless cultivation stars, countless cultivators, and living beings were instantly reduced to ashes in the explosive aftermath. Half of the ancient stars trembled with the force of the explosion, and the destructive power surged wildly. The shock waves surged like waves crashing, sweeping back with overwhelming force. The 3 third-step great powers were forced to retreat under the overwhelming shock. Each of them used their treasures and divine abilities to defend, but even so, they were pushed back, unable to resist the surge of force. The elder in the ethereal realm formed hand seals, his body retreating with pale skin, but he wasn't seriously injured. The starlight from the shattered stars in front of him dissipated instantly as it arrived. However, the man and woman beside him coughed up blood and staggered back. The booming sound reverberated around their bodies, and with their retreat, the three cultivators were finally separated. They finally separated. Tuo Sen, who had shattered a star to make this happen, grinned in a savage smile. Once they were separated, he had nothing to fear. He stepped forward, his massive body shaking the heavens. In an instant, he approached the male cultivator from the void nirvana stage, and the star mark on his forehead began to spin rapidly. Several stars shot out, swirling together to form a gigantic vortex, speeding towards the void nirvana powerhouse. Simaja, retreat. The elder in the ethereal realm's face changed drastically as he shouted urgently. His body swayed, and the surrounding starry sky rippled like a water surface, causing his speed to increase as he rushed towards Simaja, who was about to be enveloped by Tuo Sen's star vortex. Simaja, a middle-aged man with gleaming eyes, immediately sensed the danger. As the vortex approached, he formed hand seals and muttered an incantation. Seal of heavenly Tao. All beings must pass through the immeasurable tribulation, leave the abyssal prison of one thought, and free themselves from the void of the universe. Those who cannot follow the true path will forever sink into the sea of suffering. His voice was strange, but as soon as his words left his mouth, Tuo Sen's expression shifted, and he raised his right hand to strike at the approaching elder in the ethereal realm, stopping him in his tracks. Tuo Sen ignored Simaja and instead stepped forward, crossing paths with the elder, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared beside the other third-step great power. This cultivator was a woman who had been injured by Tuo Sen's star shatter. As she was retreating, her eyes widened in horror, and she immediately tried to use her divine ability, but Tuo Sen's fist crashed down with a thunderous roar. Blood sprayed from her mouth as she staggered back, and the star point on Tuo Sen's forehead descended rapidly, surrounding her with a vortex that drew her back into his star point, where she was sealed within the second star. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. After sealing the woman, Tuo Sen's right hand tore through the starry sky, and he disappeared into the vastness of space. I still have several stars left unshattered. I'll wait for you two to catch up. Though Tuo Sen had vanished, his sinister voice continued to echo across the starry sky. The old man of the ethereal realm narrowed his eyes and exchanged a glance with Simaja. A strange smile crept onto their lips, tinged with envy, as they transformed into twin streaks of light and swiftly departed. The one being hunted by Tuo Sen also emitted the aura of an ancient god, a royal lineage. In this world, only those two royal ancient gods remain. Tuo Sen is no longer a concern, but the other is not someone we can hunt. I wonder what purpose the royal ancient gods serve. Why go through such trouble, even changing the plan mid-course? This is top secret. I've only heard whispers, uncertain whether they're true. It's said the royal ancient gods possess divine essence from the dawn of the primordial heaven and earth, and that this power can. Their divine senses flickered back and forth as they spoke, but the ethereal realm elder suddenly paused mid-sentence, his expression shifting. He fell silent. Simaja beside him also turned his gaze forward. Ahead, in the vastness of space, a woman slowly approached. She wore white, her face obscured in a mist of vagueness. Each step she took was soundless, as if she crossed endless distances with ease. She exuded a misty aura, as though she did not belong to this world at all, but came from the immortal domain itself. Thank you, both of you. Her voice was ethereal and drifting. With a wave of her right hand, two flashes of white light appeared and fell into the hands of Simaja and the elder. This is the promised 6th grade Tao spirit, she said, without pausing. She passed between them and continued on, walking slowly toward the distance. The ethereal realm elder glanced at the white light in his hand, nodded faintly, and exchanged one last look with Simaja. Neither spoke. They transformed into twin rainbows and vanished into the starry sky. In that moment, The entire world seemed to belong to the woman in white alone. She moved forward slowly, each step dissolving the starlight beneath her feet as she headed in the direction where Tuo Sen had gone. Meanwhile, Wong Lin's figure, using the shrinking earth technique again and again, drew ever closer to the star domain where the Moon clan resided, according to his memory. His expression was grim. He had sensed waves of ancient god aura earlier in the starry sky, which gave rise to unsettling suspicions. But this was not the time to dwell on them. After merging with the heavens and earth multiple times, he emerged into a star domain suffused with gentle moonlight. The light radiated from the surrounding planets, spreading across the domain in a dreamlike, dazzling display. This is it. A cold gleam flashed in Wong Lin's eyes. The Moon clan of his memory was right here. Just then, a thunderous roar sounded from behind him again. Wong Lin didn't look back. His body flickered forward, breaking through everything in his path. His divine sense spread out, and instantly he detected a place ahead in the domain where ancient god aura gathered intensely. A trap to lure me in. A cold smile curled Wong Lin's lips. At that moment, the sound of tearing space roared through the moonlit domain. A rift split open in the starry sky. Tuo Sen, visibly exhausted, stepped through. What followed was eerie. Despite the deafening roar, the Moon clan showed no sign of awareness, utter silence. You won't escape. Tuo Sen's voice thundered like the heavens splitting apart. His eyes gleamed coldly as he raised his right hand and hurled a fist toward Wong Lin's speeding figure. I won't run anymore, either, Wong Lin shouted, arriving at the site filled with ancient god aura. His eyes locked onto several massive ancient god statues towering over the area, each one radiating dense power. He whirled around. A fierce light burned in his eyes as pounding sounds echoed from within him. In a flash, his body expanded to 1,000 feet tall. 6 ancient god star marks spun rapidly at his brow, and the vast power of an ancient god erupted from within. With a wave of his right hand, a burst of blood-red light flashed. The blood sword appeared in an instant, transformed into a colossal blade over 100 feet long. He swung it toward Tuo Sen's incoming fist. At the same time, Wong Lin stepped within the circle of the ancient god statues and took a deep breath. The surging ancient god aura rushed into him. The moment it entered his body, Wong Lin roared, directing it all toward the wound on his chest. There, the residual power of the heaven-opening giant axe had lingered. The immense ancient god aura surged into the injury, combining with Wong Lin's own divine strength. Suddenly, a loud rumble shook through him. Booming echoes rang out as a blurry axe shadow was forcibly expelled from the wound in Wong Lin's chest. With the residual power of the heaven-opening giant axe now gone, the wound healed instantly, leaving no trace of injury. The violent gale of Tuo Sen's punch collided with the blood sword's slash midair. An explosive crash erupted, shaking the heavens and earth, followed by a wild shockwave that rippled outward in every direction. At the same time, the illusory axe formed from the residual aura of the heaven-splitting axe, forced out from Wong Lin's chest wound, was whipped by Wong Lin's large sleeve, hurtling like a shooting star towards the approaching Tuo Senator. The residual aura of the heaven-splitting axe erupted with a dense ancient god aura, containing the power to shatter all barriers between heaven and earth. In the blink of an eye, it collided with Tuo Sen's right fist. The booming sounds of impact echoed as Tuo Sen, though powerful, was unable to match the blood sword that had once wounded the ancient immortal emperor. With an extremely mysterious origin, the blood sword had become nearly invincible since falling into Wong Lin's hands. Tuo Sen's physical body, however, could not compare to its sharpness. As their fists collided, blood sprayed. And in the moment the blood began to spread, the heaven-splitting axe's residual aura surged in, rushing directly into Tuo Sen's right arm through the blood and flesh, unleashing a series of earth-shattering sounds. The loud thundering reverberated as the veins in Tuo Sen's right arm swelled, his blood vessels surging. His expression, fatigued, was now filled with fury. His body even halted for a moment. In the instant of his body stopping, the thundering noise within his arm grew louder, as though a destructive force was about to burst free from his right arm. This was the first true, direct confrontation between Wong Lin and Tuo Sen. Though Tuo Sen's figure was momentarily blocked, the overwhelming force contained in his fist still managed to break free, transforming into a storm that charged towards Wong Lin, who stood 1,000 feet away. As the fist's wind approached, Wong Lin let out a low growl, raising his arms to block the attack. All the ancient god power within him erupted, countering the fist's wind. The explosive sounds rang out once more as Wong Lin felt as though he had been struck by a cultivation star. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, his body staggered backward, crashing into an ancient god statue. The statue cracked immediately at the point of impact, and within moments, cracks spread across the entire figure. A large amount of ancient god aura erupted from those cracks, swiftly entering Wong Lin's body, instantly healing his injuries. With a sinister grin, Wong Lin slapped the statue with his left hand, stepping forward. Pointing to the sky with his left hand, he clenched his fist. At that moment, 7 milk-white orbs of light suddenly burst forth from his left arm's fist, expanding rapidly. A solemn aura spread across the heavens and earth. These were the 7 cultivation star souls that Wong Lin had absorbed during his journey. Tuo Sen, Wong Lin shouted, calling his name directly. He swung his left hand downward, and immediately, the 7 cultivation star souls surged forward, charging toward the paused Tuo Sen in midair. With a howl, the 7 cultivation star souls each manifested a huge star-shaped illusion, a scene that appeared as though space itself was warping. Wong Lin controlled these 7 colossal cultivation stars as they slammed toward Tuo Sen. Tuo Sen's face darkened. He had previously detonated a star in the Sealed Realm Grand Array and another during his battle with the 3 third-step great powers. Now, only 6 stars remained. Logically, he should be on equal footing with Wong Lin, but Tuo Sen was not just any ordinary being. He was Tuo Sen, and even more so, the ancient god Tu Si. Tu Si had survived for far too long. His physical strength was not limited to 6 stars, but instead was infinitely close to 9 stars. Despite several of his stars exploding, his body remained shockingly powerful. Furthermore, with his supreme talent, Tuo Sen had devised a secret method to seal third-step great powers, using it to stimulate the power of his own stars. Inside his stars, though many had been destroyed during the Sealed Realm Grand Array, 1 third-step great power remained sealed, along with a woman previously imprisoned. His strength, even now, was formidable. This was a level of power that Wong Lin could not withstand. After all, Wong Lin had only inherited the memory inheritance, while the power inheritance had been fully mastered by Tuo Senator Tuo Sen had harnessed all of Tu Si's physical power, and his strength was enough to shock anyone who saw it. By fusing with me, this god can reach the peak of Tu Si's power from back then. You cannot resist. Tuo Sen roared, advancing as he swung his arms, aiming to strike at the incoming 7 cultivation star souls. Fuse with me, and you will elevate to the peak of our royal ancient god clan. Why do you not submit? Tuo Sen shouted, his fists crashing against the 7 cultivation star souls. With each clash, Tuo Sen's roar reverberated through the heavens and earth, as if no force in the world could stop his progress. The 7 cultivation star souls trembled violently, on the verge of collapse. With a massive explosion, one of the cultivation star souls was shattered by a single punch from Tuo Sen, sending shockwaves out in every direction, creating a vortex of chaos. Even the moonlight spreading across this starry domain shattered in that instant, breaking into countless pieces that vanished into the void. Fuse with me, and this god will break the laws of inheritance, unleashing the might of my ancient god clan. The heavens and earth can be restored to the glory of my ancient gods. Yet, you still refuse to bow. Tuo Sen roared madly, his fists smashing against 2 more cultivation star souls, crushing them in an instant. The inheritance of memories is in your hands, but it cannot be activated. Even if you know the abilities of the ancient god clan, you are powerless to wield them. Only I, Tuo Sen, can unleash the forbidden powers of the ancient gods. The distance between Tuo Sen and Wong Lin closed in an instant, his body like a massive meteor crashing through the sky. The remaining 4 cultivation star souls shattered on impact with him. A deafening roar filled the air, becoming the only sound in existence. Even Tuo Sen's howls were drowned out by the sheer intensity of the noise. Even though you've reached 6 stars, you don't have the inheritance of my ancient god clan's power, nor have you comprehended the origin of power. How dare you compete with me? Only I, Tuo Sen, am the true ancient god in this world, and only I am worthy of receiving the full inheritance. With his thunderous roar, Tuo Sen charged straight toward Wong Lin. In the moment of impact, Wong Lin formed a seal with his hands, slamming his left palm forward with a flash of strange light in his eyes. In an instant, all of his primal energy and the power of the ancient gods surged forth, converging into a massive heavenly palm seal. The moment it appeared, it drew in the world's primal energy from the 6 directions and the 8 desolations. In the blink of an eye, the palm seal became solid and surged forward, crashing toward Tuo Sen with a mighty roar. You are but a fragment of Tu Si's demonic thought, and you dare claim to be a god. Wong Lin's low growl echoed. With a thunderous collision, his palm seal met Tuo Sen head-on. Tuo Sen roared as he raised both hands, tearing the air apart. The earth trembled, and the sky seemed to quake. The Moon Clan's domain appeared as if it would collapse. As Tuo Sen's hands tore through the air, the massive palm seal was ripped apart, split in 2, and swept past him like a vast tidal wave. After using the soul subjugation seal, Wong Lin didn't expect to stop Tuo Sen. Instead, he raised his left hand. At the moment Tuo Sen swung his right arm toward him, Wong Lin placed his left hand on Tuo Sen's right arm, much like the ancient Lu Fuzi. His right hand quickly tapped his left palm several times, as if drawing endless power from the heavens and earth. That power surged through his body, forming a mighty strike, launching him toward Tuo Sen head-on. The sound of the clash echoed like thunder, and Wong Lin spat blood, his body rocked by a tremendous force. His bones cracked with each movement as he was pushed back, slamming into another ancient god statue. A vast wave of ancient god aura poured into his body. Tuo Sen's massive body was momentarily halted by Wong Lin's attack, but in a moment, he resumed his advance. He opened his mouth, and in an instant, half of the ancient god aura in the area was sucked into him. Pathetic, pathetic, pathetic. Wong Lin, I've given you nearly 2,000 years to grow, and yet you're still so weak. With a loud bang, Tuo Sen stomped his foot, shaking the earth beneath him. As he landed, the ground trembled violently, sending shockwaves through the sky. He raised his right hand, turning it into a massive palm that covered the starry sky, and it rushed toward Wong Lin. His goal was not to kill Wong Lin, but to capture him alive. In that instant, Wong Lin frantically absorbed the ancient god aura. The 7th star mark on his forehead spun rapidly, as if it were about to solidify. The ancient god energy split into 2 parts. Although Wong Lin couldn't absorb as much as Tuo Sen, he managed to claim nearly 40%. As Tuo Sen's palm came crashing down, Wong Lin let out a furious roar. His arms lifted, and ancient god power surged through his body. He leaped from the ground, and in the midst of this power, his blood sword flew out, spinning between his palms, emitting a mighty crimson glow. Ancient god, divine fist. Wong Lin's voice was a thunderous roar. He rarely used the ancient god's powers because they required an immense amount of energy, far more than a mere 2,000 years of existence could provide. Yet, in this moment, fueled by the concentrated ancient god power around him, Wong Lin didn't hesitate to unleash an ancient god technique that a 6-star ancient god could perform. The divine fist. His fists clenched, with the blood sword between them. Wong Lin's entire body became a swirling vortex of power, charging toward Tuo Sen's right hand. A ghostly ancient god form appeared beside him, roaring as it collided with Tuo Sen's palm in a massive explosion. The roar of the collision echoed across the heavens, the divine fist erupting with all of Wong Lin's ancient god power in a single moment. It became a blow that could shatter the heavens and earth. Tuo Sen's right hand trembled as it was forced upward by the impact, while Wong Lin's body erupted in blood, turning him into a bloody figure. He was sent flying, crashing to the ground with a thunderous boom. Die for me. Tuo Sen's right hand went numb, and his mind was shaken. He hadn't expected Wong Lin to grow so much in such a short time. Now, instead of bringing his right hand down, he focused on the 6 stars in his forehead, which began to flicker rapidly. With a roar, they shot toward Wong Lin, spinning as they sought to consume him. In that critical moment, Wong Lin's eyes flashed with a strange light. This was the moment he had been waiting for. Tuo Sen, do you really think Tu Si is dead? What? As soon as these words were spoken, even someone as formidable as Tuo Sen's face changed drastically, and his whole body shook violently. A sudden change, an unexpected shift. Tuo Sen had always been reckless and fearless, as though he were invincible against heaven and earth. But there was one person he feared more than anyone else in his life, Tu Si. He had been born from a fragment of Tu Si's demonic will, and thus harbored an unimaginable fear of Tu Si. Even though he controlled Tu Si's physical body now, throughout the countless years, he could never shake the disturbing suspicion. Tu Si, is he really dead, or is he still alive? He wasn't sure, and he didn't dare think about it. Though all the signs pointed to the fact that Tu Si had perished completely under the ink flow clone technique. You want to devour me? You can try. When Wong Lin dies, that will be the moment Tu Si awakens. At that time, Tuo Sen, you will be reduced to ashes. Wong Lin's voice roared like thunder, resonating through the air with a booming sound. Tuo Sen's mind shook. The 6 stars he had summoned paused abruptly in midair, and for the first time, there was hesitation and shock in his eyes. In that split second, when his mind was in turmoil, the Moon Clan's domain was suddenly struck by a terrifying anomaly. Howls echoed from all directions as the moonlight around collapsed and shattered. A fierce and overwhelming aura surged like a storm, roaring across the entire Moon Clan star domain. God's Sealing Grand Array, activate! An elderly voice rang out, wild with excitement, yet hiding an unmistakable fear. The words reverberated across the starry sky. With the sound of that voice, the once silent Moon Clan star domain was immediately filled with shadowy figures, each one a member of the Moon Clan. They were numerous, men and women alike, all with a crescent moon mark glowing above their foreheads. There were so many of them, at least 100,000. They surrounded the area, each carefully positioned, as part of the formation for this God's Sealing Grand Array. The purpose of the Sealing God Battle was to seal the gods, the ancient gods. Within this star domain and beyond, all cultivation stars were arranged according to the structure of the Grand Array. As soon as the Elder's voice echoed, the entire world shifted. The starry sky was no more. Instead, it was replaced by a vast expanse of moonlight, and everything in the world and star domain faded into nothing, leaving only the endless spread of moonlight. A massive crescent moon suddenly appeared in the sky, casting its boundless moonlight across everything, enveloping the entire world. On the hundreds of cultivation stars scattered around, there sat a Moon Clan elder on each one, their white hair flowing as they formed seals with their hands. Their cultivation power surged, intensifying the moonlight formation to its peak. For the Moon Clan, the death of an ancient god was nothing compared to the power of a living one, especially if that god were a royal ancient god. To them, this was an incredible allure. If they could seal a living royal ancient god and turn him into their slave, it would send waves of excitement through every member of the Moon Clan, causing their essence spirits to tremble with excitement, nearly crying out. Should this succeed, the Moon Clan could rise to unimaginable heights. For this day, the Moon Clan had prepared for countless eons. In fact, they had been planning this since many millennia ago, hoping that one day they could seal a living ancient god. It was only with Tuo Sen's arrival years ago that the Moon Clan, filled with fear and excitement, activated the ancestral formation, awaiting his coming. Originally, they had expected that Tuo Sen, as an ancient god, would surely come to the Moon Clan. Yet, they had waited for over a decade, and he had not appeared. But today, with Wong Lin's attraction, Tuo Sen finally arrived. What made the Moon Clan even more ecstatic was that it wasn't just one royal ancient god who had come. It was two. As the formation activated, the world was transformed into a moonlit realm. This Moonlight world was a surreal space created by the Moon Clan's ancestors over countless generations, meant to seal away the ancient gods, and once sealed within, they could never escape. Tuo Sen, still shaken by Wong Lin's words, was suddenly engulfed by the Moon Clan's drastic change, the opening of the gods' sealing grand array, and the overwhelming moonlight filling the sky. His mind became irritable, and with a wave of his right hand, the 6 stars that had been about to devour Wong Lin returned to his forehead. In that instant, his right arm crashed down on the surroundings with a thunderous roar. Boom, boom. The sounds echoed, but the world did not collapse under the moonlight. Instead, it twisted, morphing into countless beams of light, rapidly spiraling toward Tuo Sen and Wong Lin, entangling around them like endless silk. Tuo Sen's eyes flashed with a sharp light, and with a roar, he let out a godly bellow that shook the heavens, his voice like thunder, shaking the very foundations of this moonlit world. But as his roar reverberated, the moonlight twisted again, forming more moon threads that relentlessly wrapped around them. The moon's gentle slaughter, deicide form. The ancient voice rang out. In an instant, the threads of the moonlit world surged, multiplying into countless razor-thin strands. Like blades, they twisted and surged forward in a deadly snare. These threads were incredibly tough, seemingly without beginning or end. No matter how Tuo Sen struggled, the more he shattered them in great swathes, the more they multiplied. Summoned the Moon Clan's sacred treasure, the god-extinguishing fan. That aged voice rose sharply. Within this sealed moonlit dimension imprisoning Wong Lin and Tuo Sen, the moonlight rapidly condensed. A colossal moon-hued fan, 100 zhang wide, burst into existence with a thunderous roar. The moment it appeared, it swept forward with unstoppable force. The roar of impact shook the heavens. A raging storm erupted from the fan, imbued with boundless moonlight, and surged directly toward Tuo Senator with a low growl. Tuo Sen raised his right fist and struck toward the oncoming tempest, shattering countless threads in the process. Wong Lin, meanwhile, was enshrouded in endless threads. The blood sword around him flickered, forming a vortex to block the strands. Yet these threads were infinite, without end or origin. No matter how many he severed, more took their place. As the god-extinguishing fan continued to swing, the storm turned its wrath on Wong Lin. Amid the deafening booms, it was as if a furious gale swept him backward. But in the very moment he retreated, an explosion of moonlight burst from the storm. Each beam like a piercing sword aiming to impale him completely. Were they mere moonlight blades, Wong Lin could have ignored them. But within this light was a force akin to the heaven-splitting giant axe, an aura devastatingly lethal to ancient gods. Tuo Sen faced the same peril. His roar echoed as his fist clashed with the storm. With a thunderous explosion, the tempest crumbled into countless blades that pierced toward him. As they tore through, they left bloody gashes all over his body. You lowly slave scum dare harm a god? You insects die! Tuo Sen roared in fury. Though he was battling Wong Lin, he acknowledged Wong Lin as kin. But these former slave clans, he saw them as mere ants. And now, these ants had dared wound him. How could he not erupt in wrath? Consumed by rage, Tuo Sen rampaged like a mad beast. Yet the more he destroyed within this moonlit world, the more it unraveled into endless threads. In the blink of an eye, the entire realm became a blur, completely overwhelmed by the snaring strands. Outside the formation, 100,000 members of the Moon Clan stood. Over 10,000 of them spat blood and collapsed, the backlash from the formation's activation proving fatal. As they died, crescent-shaped marks shot from their foreheads and imprinted upon the grand formation. In the next instant, within this battle formation of moonlit threads, the spirits of the dead Moon Clan cultivators began to appear one by one. With our clan's blood, feed the gods. With our clan's souls, shatter the gods. Grand Moon God Destruction Art. The ancient voice now dripped with madness. At its call, the 10,000 spirits let out piercing shrieks and began to swell, transforming into thousands of moons. The moonlight reached its zenith. These countless moons thundered forth, half streaking toward Tuo Sen, the rest charging at Wong Lin. Summoned the Moon Clan's sacred treasure, Blood Moon Wings. With blood, sacrifice. The ancient voice rose once more. This time, atop the divine sealing grand array, thousands of Moon Clan cultivators began to phase into existence. Each of them held a struggling fierce beast in their hands, roaring wildly in defiance. As the voice fell, each of the Moon Clan cultivators wore a twisted, ferocious expression. With a massive eruption, the beasts they held exploded into piles of flesh and blood. All of it fell onto the grand array, and was immediately absorbed the moment it landed. This was only the first wave. Soon after, more waves of Moon Clan cultivators appeared. Each collapsed more beasts, pouring torrents of blood and gore into the formation, turning the once pure Moonlight a deep, blood-red hue. As the blood condensed, two massive crimson wings suddenly formed within the array and surged straight toward Wong Lin and Tuo Sen. Summon the Moon Clan's sacred treasure, 9 ancient god skulls. This time, the ancient voice rang out crystal clear. In the void beyond the formation, a black-robed elder materialized. His arms spread wide, his face twisted with frenzied greed. As he spoke, a massive rift tore open before him. With an earth-shaking boom, 9 colossal ancient god skulls burst forth. These skulls radiated thick ancient god aura, each one etched with crescent-shaped seals and cloaked in moonlight. Upon entering the formation, they immediately became a devastating storm, charging at Wong Lin and Tuo Sen. Summon the Moon Clan's sacred treasure, God's sundering fluid. The elder's snow-white hair fluttered eerily. As he uttered those words, he bit his tongue and spat out a mouthful of pitch-black blood. Around him, hundreds of cultivators on the surrounding cultivation stars also bit their tongues and spat out thick, foul-smelling black blood, each drop brimming with corruption and power. This blood seemed to possess a will of its own, instantly converging into a foul-smelling sea of blood. It surged like a force that could shake the heavens and earth, rushing straight into the formation.